It's your boy Evan, and you know I'm on something I guess. As you guys can tell, we got the black Jag behind me. And today, of course, we're going to be working on alternator. I woke up this morning to go start it up, and I heard a whining noise coming from underneath the hood. Now I opened the hood to check it out, and you immediately can hear the sound coming from somewhere by the alternator. Started smelling like something electrical burning, so I figured it had to be the alternator. So I went to the garage, grabbed my handy testy battery tester, plugged that bad boy on the battery, showed that the battery needed a recharge, and then it showed that it needed replacing. Then I did a load tester on it, or load tested it using my battery tester, and it showed that there was no output. It was not charging at all. It showed like 12.6, 12.10 volts, which is pretty low. When it's charging, it should be around 13 to 14, around that area. So immediately I knew the alternator was shot, so we're gonna go ahead and change it out, put the brand new one in, and take it along for the ride. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so we're here in the back, so we're gonna go ahead and remove the negative terminal first, then the positive. And then whenever you reinstall battery, you always install the positive first, then the negative. We're going to take the battery out. I'm going to test it just to make sure if it has a good charge, or if it needs a good charge, or if the battery needs replacing, because I'm going to be replacing the alternator. So if you're going to replace the alternator, might as well put a brand new battery just to make sure that both of them are working in conjunction perfectly, because they both work as a pair. So you want to make sure your battery's good as well as your alternator. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the negative first with a 10mm ratcheting wrench. Alright guys, so we're in the garage right now, so we're going to go ahead and test the battery. We got my little test in here. Positive, negative. So showing 12.42 volts, so we're going to click OK. English, out of vehicle test. Before charge, this is a AGM flat plate. Full cranking amps about 1,000. Cranking amps 1,000, no mistake. Now it's testing, and it says good battery. It says SOH 100%, SOC 71%, 12.42, and it's a good battery. Just needs a good charge. So that's pretty much it. We're gonna head to the car now. Alright guys, so we're underneath the car. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the skid plate. Now in your car, on your Jaguar, you may have T style screws, or star screws, whatever you want to call them, underneath. I had those. I removed them because they got rusted up, so I put in some, you would call them pot rivets or whatever you want to call them, because they got rusted, so I didn't want to mess with that stuff again. So I ended up putting those pot rivets. They're plastic rivets, they come out, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop them out. But on yours you might have a T like a T25 or T30 you put underneath, and just remove the screws. Now they may be a little rusted, so just throw some WD-40 or some PV blaster. But I went ahead and removed them and used some plastic pop rivets because they're easier to remove, and I hate dealing with those T-style screws that get rusted up on the backside. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove it. Alright guys, so we're back on top in the engine compartment. We're going to go ahead and remove these bolts here. So one on each side of the fan, and then you're going to unplug the plug for this fan and the lower bottom fan, and then you're just going to slowly wiggle its way out. Once you remove this, you'll be able to get room to the you'll have room to access the alternator. So I'm going to remove this two bolts here. Alright guys, so as you guys can tell, I got the belt here. This is a Supercharger belt. I am going to change the belt because this was the belt that came on the car when I bought it. So I'm going to put a Gates Supercharger belt, which is going to last a little bit longer, and it actually looks a little better on the outside. It's got a different material on the outside as well as the inside. So I'm going to change out the Supercharger belt. Then I'm also going to change out the serpentine belt as well, because this one looks like it's got to be melted pretty well. So this stuff is going to get changed. So no need to worry about, oh, you know, the belt got stuck on top of the pulley over here. And then I'm also going to be changing out the fluid on the Supercharger, make sure that it's running well and it's not low on oil. So no worries, just take your time, take off the plugs on the fan, make sure you clear everything before you pull anything out. Be very, very careful. These lines here, you know, you can easily just rest your hand here, pop, this one comes off, and then you got fluid leaking everywhere, so the antifreeze is going to be everywhere. Take your time. Other than that, my Supercharger tensioner pulley was a little stuck, so I had to use a long pry bar. Came off. Just going to clean it up on the backside. Next time I put it on, maybe put a little bit of anti-seize on the backside so it doesn't get stuck. Just going to take my time, remove this alternator, and that should pretty much be it. I want to make sure that the Supercharger has oil, and then that should be it. That should be a pretty simple, straightforward install. Alright guys, so there's a 13mm underneath under the car by the alternator bracket. So you're going to need a 13 wrench or a breaker bar. Oh shoot. And remove the bolt. Alright guys, so before I go any further, I know you guys are probably wondering what the hell am I doing, because I know it's a little bit hard and it's kind of hard to get a camera down here. So basically, looking from the top and on the bottom, there is a bolt that holds the alternator to the bottom side of the bracket or the block or whatever you want to, you know, call it. You can remove the bottom one. There's a nut, there's a bolt and a nut behind it, so you need to grab onto it from the back and unloosen it from the front. Now the top bolt is actually put on in the opposite direction, so instead of the head being outside this way and being able to remove it, it's on this back side. So you have to get a 10mm or small wrench, a ratcheting wrench on the back of it. Put your hands on below the intake or the intake, whatever, the intake manifold, not the intake manifold, the whole intake setup and just slowly remove it. I'm gonna bring the camera in so you guys can get a better idea, but that's pretty much how you remove it. Just be aware that you might, you know, have the alternator drop when you remove it, so just be very careful. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring the camera in, and this way you guys can get a better idea. Alright guys, so hopefully you guys can see a little bit better. So you basically have to remove that one right here, and then you also have to remove, oh shoot, this one right here. So the bolt on this one is actually on the back side, so you can actually get to it by sticking your hand underneath the intake or the air filter, where the air filter is. Put your hands underneath if they're skinny like mine, and you can put a 10mm ratcheting wrench on this, and you can lift up on it and crack it loose. And then the bottom one is I believe a 13, and you can remove the bolt on the front while holding the nut on the back, and it'll loosen it. Comes right out. So the bottom is easy, the top's a little bit harder. Then once you remove that, then the alternator will then slide out. Just be careful, it's going to slide out. Many people take out the oil filter. Sometimes you can get past it by removing the alternator without removing the oil filter. Sometimes you can remove it. It's all up to you. Honestly, it don't really matter. So I'm just gonna go ahead, give it a try with the oil filter. If it's a success, I'm gonna do it like that. If not, I'm gonna remove it. But I'm gonna give it a shot. But that's how you remove it. So one on the bottom, one on the top. Take your time. This is a heavy bad boy. Once this comes out, then it's the opposite way to put it in. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So let's get to it. What's going on, guys? So it's the next day, so as you guys can tell, finally got this motherfucker out. So after like a few hours of like, you know, trying to figure out how to get it out, because I was watching videos online and people were saying you gotta remove the intercooler pump hoses, or remove the intercooler in general, just the whole setup with the hoses and the intercooler. Somebody actually took the plastic or the wheel fender liner inside inner fender wheel, whatever, you get it, the liner inside, and actually started cutting up the metal and pushing it up, and I was like, what the hell is this guy doing? So I do not advise you doing that, because I had done this before on an XJ8 and I was able to get it out. So just be careful when you remove it to not touch up against the radiator's fins. You don't want to damage them, because they're there like that for a reason, so they provide cooling for the cooling system. So I was able to get this motherfucker out. Alright, got the neighbor who's cutting his lawn, so give me a sec. Alright guys, so we're back. My neighbor stopped blowing his yard or cutting his lawn or whatever he was doing. So now we're back, so I got it out. So basically have to just play with it. So just basically, you know, unloosen the bottom bolt, the top bolt, knock it with a mallet, and use a long pry bar to try to get it out of the way. Now what I did use was basically just use this bungee cord, and there's a high pressure line or a line that sits right next to the alternator. So in order to get it out, I just basically tied around the actual line like this, and I just, you know, hooked it up to the sway bar end link, and on one side to the bottom side of the lower control arm. I'll show you real quick. I'll bring the camera in, and basically was able to just gently knock it out. So just basically a few taps with the mallet up from the top side, from the bottom, and the side, and then just basically wiggle it out with the pry bar, and I was able to get it out. So there's no need to remove anything. You can get it out, just take your time. And when you're lifting it up from the front side of the motor, where you're going to remove the fans, of course, and everything else that's near this area that you need to remove in order to get access to it, just going to gently pull it out from the bottom and bring it from the top where the radiator is, and just gently get it out of there, and then basically just replace it and just put the new one in the same way. So we'll bring the camera and show you what exactly I'm talking about. And you do not need to cut anything up or remove anything else. This thing is easy. If you have experience doing it before and you're trying it, you can easily do it. So we'll bring the camera in and I'll show you guys. Alright guys, so as you guys can tell, we removed everything from here, including the intake. The fans is out. We didn't remove the intercooler pump or the hoses itself that goes to the intercooler pump, but that's the alternator plug right here. So basically you do not need to remove anything else. You can get it out from the bottom, and then it comes out from here. Just make sure you don't, you know, got a little bit of the radiator's fins here. Just be careful putting it back in or taking it out. So you don't want to damage anything on the actual radiator and hurt the fins or damage the fins. So basically you can just get it out from here, but there is a line right here, this line right here. So if you can tell, you can actually push it with your finger. So what I did was I just basically grabbed this, and I just basically tied around it. So hopefully you guys can see. Just tied it up like this, and then just one side I went to the sway bar end link, and the other side to the bottom of the actual lower control arm, or somewhere where it will pull this. So if you do it right, you're able to basically push it all the way out of the way. So basically it sits like on the back side of this frame, so it'll give you enough room to where you can actually press down on it, on the alternator, and push it down enough to where it'll come out. You might have to give it a few taps with a rubber mallet and a long pry bar, and it'll come out. Just be careful you don't damage the pigtail or the wires. I gotta fix this wire here because it's got a little bit of a cut in it. But other than that, it comes out like that. No need to remove anything else. Do not fuck up your car by, you know, cutting into it or anything like that. Don't damage these cars. There's a way to get everything out, but you do not need to cut or remove anything else. It's pretty simple. So like I said, just use a bungee cord right there. And get the flashlight, get a bungee cord, that line right there. Just tie it up real good and push it all the way to the side, and I'll get it off the frame that sits over there, and they'll be able to come out the right way. So hopefully that helped. So I'm gonna get back to installing this brand new alternator. Alright guys, so as you guys can tell, we got the old alternator right here. Took it out last night, as you guys saw, and went ahead this morning. I missed the delivery for the FedEx to drop off the Bosch alternator that I ordered, so I actually had to go pick it up from the FedEx packaging center, or whatever it's called. So I picked it up because I wanted to get it done, but apparently it's gonna rain today, so I'm just gonna go ahead and open it up and show you. So this is the old one. So this motherfucker is fried. So you can tell, it looks like maybe the brushes inside are no good, or voltage regulator, who knows, but this went bad, so I took it out. I'm gonna open up the new one, or unbox the Bosch alternator, but we're not gonna put it in because it's probably gonna rain. It looks like We got water coming down today, so we're gonna probably continue it tomorrow. So hopefully tomorrow's a nice day. It's too hot today as it was yesterday, so I'm just gonna go open it up. There we go. Got a nice Bosch alternator. Looks like it came in a nice box. Let's move this bad boy to the side. Here, we got Bosch Alternator, Alternado, as they say in Spanish. So we're gonna unbox it. And bam! We got a brand new alternator. I think this bad boy's gonna work just fine. Oh my god, it looks so good. What does it say? Oh wow, so it says if battery must be fully charged or replaced before installing alternator. If battery is bad, premature failure will occur. Remove cables from battery prior to connect the opposite side of cable to alternator. Failure to do so will damage the alternator. So that's common sense. So yeah, I'm most likely going to change the battery because the battery has like a bulge on the side. Just a slight hump or bulge on the side. So I'm probably going to get a new battery just to be safe. So just wanted to show you guys that we got the alternator right here. Wanted to put a good one in because, you know, I don't want to do this twice. I had an issue where I put an alternator in and it caused charging issues, so I had to replace it again. So I want to make sure I put a good quality one. So spend your time and find the right one and throw a nice alternator in and you should be good to go. So what's going on, guys? I figured I'd show you real quick. So we had a little issue where the wires were actually a little bit chewed up under here. So now connected, heat shrink and solder, so they're nice and good, so they're not going to get chafed up or cut or whatever. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to connect everything back together, put the connector back on, and put everything together. I might do a little bit of work tonight. It's later in the evening. Actually, it didn't rain, so we're going to go ahead and do that. So okay.
Giddy up, 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 giddy up. I got horses in the back, trunk in the front, exterior red and that inside buttercup. I got what you need, I got what you want, I got what you need. Tell them giddy up, call her whoop, cause she poppin'. D4L, that's no option. She my one and only lover. So much fun, 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 like I'm Thugger. Giddy up, fill my cup, cheddar cheese, Velveeta, put in work, double up. And I can't waste none of my time, so stop clogging on my line. Giddy up, 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 giddy up. I got horses in the back, trunk in the front, exterior red and that inside buttercup. I got what you need, I got what you want, I got what you need. Tell them giddy up. Rubber band, band, band man, band man like Nick Cannon. I like dancing, see you panning, see you scrambling. Giddy up, keep it tough, put in work, on the hush. What's the word? Calling bluffs. And I can't waste none of my time, so stop clogging on my line. Giddy up, 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 giddy up. I got horses in the back, trunk in the front, exterior red and that inside buttercup. I got what you need, I got what you want, I got what you need. Tell them giddy up. I got horses in the back, trunk in the front, exterior red and that inside buttercup. I got what you need, I got what you want, I got what you need. Tell them giddy up.
guys, so as you guys can tell, I just finished up, so pretty much I'm going to wrap it up. Alternator's in, clean the threads, put some anti-seize on the top, bolt on the bottom, fix the connector to the back of the alternator, put some dielectrical grease on the cable that goes to the back of the alternator that's supposed to supply the power, or supply power to the battery, so that power cable. So that's got dielectrical grease, everything's plugged in, everything's bolted down, everything's tightened up. So we're pretty much done. It's starting to rain now, so I'm gonna call it a night, get some early sleep, wake up early in the morning, go grab the battery from the local auto parts store, because that battery I have, even though it says replace, or now it's saying it's good on my tester, I don't want to risk it because it's got a little bulge on the side of the battery. So I'm going to go ahead and go get a new one, just to make sure it has the car has a brand new battery, as well as the new alternator that we just put in. So I don't want to risk running into any issues with the battery causing the alternator to go bad and whatnot. So I don't want to play around with that stuff. So I'm just going to spend a little money, make sure everything runs right. The next thing we're going to do after that, once we get the batteries, change out the supercharger oil. So I'm going to show you guys tomorrow, with the natural light that we have outside. So I'm going to show you tomorrow the supercharger oil that I'm going to pull out and then put new supercharger oil in. So that should pretty much be it. So with that, you guys, I'll catch you guys early tomorrow in the morning. Alright guys, so we just came back from the local auto parts store. Had to make a run there, get a nice Champion AGM battery. So I only use AGM batteries. I don't like lead acid batteries, for the reason that it spills liquid all over the place if it, goes bad or whatnot. I hate them anyways. You get the point. AGM is the best. So I got a Champion battery from the local auto parts store. Also returned my alternator from the Jag for core refund or core charge. So pretty much set. We're going to go ahead and put this bad boy in the trunk. We're going to finish off whatever we have to do up here in the motor, and that should be it. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so we're over here. We're going to go ahead and remove this bolt that's for the supercharger. We're going to drain the supercharger oil. We're going to use one of these syringes. I know this is way too big, but we're going to put a hose on the one end, and then we're going to try to suck out all the fluid and put some fresh fluid in. So we're going to use a what the hell is this? I don't think this is the right one. We need a 1316. I don't know where it is. I gotta find it. Is it this one? I have no idea, but we're gonna give it a try. No, that don't work. That don't work. That don't work. There we go, this is the one I need. So you need a 316. That's good. There we go. So alright, so I just put I didn't just put, but I put earlier a piece of paper or paper towel underneath that screw hole so it doesn't leak fluid down below, so we could catch it. So it's located, this bolt is located right here, so just take your time and remove it. Alright guys, so after fiddling with it off camera for a little bit, I was able to figure it out. You need to use the syringe and you need to shorten the hose and you gotta wiggle it in. So when you put it into this little hole over here, you gotta jiggle it in and eventually it will come in further, and slowly you'll start feeling resistance in the syringe. So you'll know it start pumping this crap out of the supercharger. So this oil is gonna come out into here and you'll be able to remove it completely and put it in one of these like measuring cups, for example, which I have a little bit. So this stuff smells like ass, so just beware. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the rest of this fluid out. Actually, I'll leave this here so you guys can see exactly what's being pulled out. Hopefully this thing doesn't fall. Leave it right here. Hopefully it doesn't get Alright guys, so after messing with this thing for a little bit and poking around and trying to get whatever I can out of it, this is how much I got out of it. So a little bit above 50. So I don't know if you put it on a flat surface like here. So I would say it's at 100 milliliters. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put just a little bit over 100 milliliters into my syringe. We're going to shoot it through into the fill hole, and once we start seeing fluid coming out, that's when we know it is full. So unfortunately, I think the supercharger was a little bit low on oil. Thank God we caught it. So the person who had it before me actually didn't take care of the supercharger or do any maintenance of that kind of sort. So it is to be expected. Could be that the supercharger was using quite a bit of oil. So we're gonna go ahead and fill it up and go from there. Alright guys, so scratch that. After trying it out in different positions and using a much skinnier hose with my big fat syringe, I was able to push it further into the supercharger. I guess plenum down here, or whatever you want to call it. So I was able to get it further in, and I was able to suck out almost 8 ounces, which is close to about a cup. I was able to look online and also see that somebody else had also gotten almost the same as mine. I'm just a little bit below the 8 ounce line, so that means we're pretty good. That means I pulled out I guess the same amount as that person did, so we're pretty good. I got some Kenny Bell high performance supercharger. This was for my father's supercharger, I guess fluid to be used in his supercharger. So we're just gonna go ahead and use some of this. It's the same stuff, just made from Kenny Bell. So we're gonna go throw some of that in here. No need for me to waste any more money and get regular supercharger oil when I have some here. So we're gonna go ahead and use some of this. So we're gonna put 200, and I believe it's either 235 or 236, somewhere around there. I'm gonna put 240 just to be safe, and then we're just gonna shoot it in through the you know, supercharger, and then hopefully once it starts dripping out of the plug, then we'll know that it actually is full to the top. And then I got my Allen key and the bolt there, so we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. Alright guys, so as you guys saw, we ended up putting the Kenny Bell supercharger oil in. Don't worry, it's compatible with Eaton, Kenny Bell, Whipple, you name it, all types of blowers. So don't worry, it's not going to mess up the blower. So we just put it in. I know I made a little bit of a mess. I should have done it a little bit differently, or been a little more careful, but we got the supercharger oil put in. Now we're going to go ahead and put the rest of the stuff in, put everything back together, put the battery back in, and we should hopefully have everything ready to go so we can fire it up tonight and get the car ready for tomorrow. Let's get to it. Alright guys, so we're going to install a brand new gate supercharger belt as well as a Daco poly rib belt for the main drive accessory. So we're going to go ahead and put this one first and then this one, so let's get to it.
17 for the 1832 South Central service to Brighton, fast to East Croydon, then Red Hill, Gatwick Airport, Three Bridges, Aldcombe, Haywards Heath, Whipplesfield, Burgess Hill, Essex, Preston Park and Brighton. Customers for London Road, Ballscoombe, Falmer and Lewis, also Hove and stations to Worthing should change at right. Service to Brighton, fast to East Croydon, then Red Hill, Gatwick Airport, Three Bridges, Aldcombe, Haywards Heath, Whipplesfield, Burgess Hill, Essex, Preston Park and Brighton. Customers for London Road, Ballscoombe, Falmer and Lewis, also Hove and stations to Worthing should change at right.
Alright guys, so moment of truth. We're going to actually fire it up and see if everything's running well. I got the voltmeter right here. We're going to test out and see if we have continuity or if we got actual voltage charging out the battery. So we're going to see if we got 14, around the 14 point something area volts. So we're going to make sure that the alternator is actually charging. So we're going to go ahead right now. It's late at night. We're going to start it up and see if everything's running well. And we got nothing going on. Hopefully everything goes well. So let's do it. Alright, so fired right up. We're good. Go check the battery and see what's going on. Yep. We got 14.22 volts. So system is charging, so thank God we fixed it. No more voltage issues. So pretty good. Pretty happy. We're good to go. We just fixed it. What's going on, guys? As you guys saw, we just ended up putting everything back together. Put the new alternator in. We fixed the connectors wiring. We plugged everything back in. New belts. New supercharger oil we put in. Put the intake system back on. Started it up. Make sure everything's running well. It's pretty late at night, so I just want to make sure everything's running well. We got the new battery put in as well. Put my voltage meter on it to make sure we got 14, around the 14 point something voltage area, to make sure that the charging system is working. So we got a brand new battery. It was fully charged right before I put it in, just to make sure it was charged up from when I bought it from the local auto parts store, because they usually sit on the shelves and the battery starts to diminish a little bit. So I charged it back up. It's a brand new battery. I'll put it back in. Everything's running well. So I'm just going to tie up some loose ends, like put in the bumper under cover to protect, you know, whatever. I don't know the term for it, but the I guess you want to call it skid plate underneath, or whatever, the cover underneath the bumper, preventing stuff from going up. Put all this stuff up here onto the car, the accessory covers and all that stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that stuff in, close everything back up, close the hood, put the car back down, get it ready for tomorrow so we could use it and drive it. So with that being said, guys, I'll definitely be catching you guys in the next video.